Okay, picture this. You're at the farmer's market. Your bags are overflowing with fresh produce, but oh, where's your wallet? Panic starts to set in. Then you remember your phone is your wallet, thanks to the magic of mobile payments.
That's right.
And that's exactly what we're diving deep into today
Yeah.
with an article from blogwidow.com called Mobile Payment Methods: How They Work, Popular Options, and Pros and Cons, published February 5th, 2025. We're going to uncover the tech behind all those taps and swipes and really explore how this is changing the way we spend and send money.
I mean, it really is a financial revolution right in our pockets.
Absolutely. So for those who haven't yet taken the mobile payment plunge, can you break down how it actually works?
Well, you can think of it as creating a digital copy of your physical cards, like your credit card and your bank accounts. And that's where the digital wallet comes in. It's a secure app on your smartphone.
So it's not like I'm actually shoving my credit card into my phone.
Right. Not quite, although that would be something. The wallet stores all your payment information securely. And this is where things get really interesting. When you go to pay, your phone needs to prove that it's really you authorizing the transaction.
Right.
And for this authentication step, you might use a PIN, a fingerprint scan, or even facial recognition.
Okay.
And this adds a layer of security that you just don't get with traditional cards.
I've always wondered about those fingerprint scanners. Are they really secure? Could someone trick the system?
That's a great question. And the technology is always evolving, always staying ahead of any potential vulnerabilities. Biometric security, like fingerprint scanning and facial recognition, they're designed to be very difficult to spoof. They use unique biological markers. But, and this is key, even if someone bypassed that, your actual card details are never transmitted during the transaction.
Wait, what? So how does the store get my information if it's not being sent from my phone?
That's where we get to the magic of tokenization. Instead of using your actual card number, a unique one-time code is generated for each transaction. You can think of it like a decoy, protecting your real information.
So even if someone intercepts that information, all they get is this useless token.
Exactly.
That's really clever.
Yeah.
But how does my phone actually talk to the payment terminal?
There are a couple of ways that can happen, but the most common is NFC,
NFC?
near-field communication.
Okay.
You probably don't realize it, but there's a tiny little antenna in your phone
Oh, wow.
that can send and receive data wirelessly over very short distances. So when you tap your phone on an NFC-enabled terminal, like a little digital handshake,
Huh.
securely exchanging all the information needed to make the payment.
Ah, so that's what's happening with all those tap-to-pay symbols everywhere. It really does feel like magic sometimes.
It does.
I've also seen those square QR codes popping up for payments. How do those work?
Yeah, so QR codes are another way your phone can talk to the payment system. It's like when you scan a barcode at the grocery store.
Yeah.
But instead of just showing information, the QR code actually starts a payment through your digital wallet.
Yeah.
You might use it to pay for online shopping, or to split a bill with friends, or even to pay at a restaurant.
So many different options. It seems like mobile payments are everywhere. Speaking of options, the article dives into some of the biggest players in this space. Let's start with the one that everyone seems to be talking about,
Okay.
Apple Pay.
Of course, yeah. Apple Pay has really become almost synonymous with mobile payments,
Yeah.
especially for people with iPhones.
Right.
It just works so seamlessly with their devices. It makes it super convenient to use online and in stores.
That ease of use is definitely a big plus. But what sets it apart from other digital wallets? Is it just 'cause it's Apple?
Well, aside from the brand recognition and the seamless integration with other Apple stuff, Apple really emphasizes security with features like Face ID and Touch ID. And they've also been really smart in partnering with major banks and retailers, so you can pretty much use it everywhere.
So it's more than just a fancy name. But what about those of us who aren't part of the Apple crowd? What are our options?
Well, that's where Google Pay steps in.
Okay.
Caters to Android users,
Yeah.
and, it even offers some compatibility with iOS.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's got a pretty impressive reach across different retailers and services, so it's a very versatile option.
I've also heard that they're starting to integrate things like loyalty programs and rewards right into the app.
Exactly. Yeah, Google Pay is always evolving, adding features to make it even more attractive.
Sounds like a tough competitor for Apple Pay.
Oh, for sure. Competition is fierce.
Uh,
And then you've got Samsung with its own contender, Samsung Pay.
Hmm.
And they've got their own trick up their sleeve,
oh, what's that?
MST technology,
MST. Remind me what that stands for again?
Magnetic Secure Transmission.
Yeah.
It's a unique feature that lets Samsung Pay work even on those older payment terminals that don't have NFC.
Yeah.
It basically mimics the magnetic stripe on your credit card.
Oh, interesting.
So it's super versatile.
So you could use it at any store, even if they haven't upgraded to those fancy tap-to-pay systems.
You got it.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, but it's important to remember that Samsung Pay, like Apple Pay, is tied to specific devices. So it might have some impressive features, but it doesn't have the universal appeal of, let's say, PayPal.
Ah, good old PayPal. They've been around forever.
They have. Yeah, PayPal's a real veteran when it comes to online payments. And their mobile app has become a really popular choice across all sorts of devices and operating systems.
I use PayPal all the time for online shopping. What are the pros and cons of using it for mobile payments?
Well, one of the biggest pros is its global reach. PayPal is available in over 200 countries, and it supports tons of currencies. So it's great for international transactions, like if you're traveling abroad.
That's definitely a huge plus, especially if you're a frequent traveler or like to shop on international websites. But there's got to be a catch, right?
There is. PayPal is known for charging transaction fees, especially for those international transfers or for businesses. And while it's super widely used for online payments, it's not as common to see it accepted in stores.
So maybe not the best option for your daily coffee run.
Probably not. But when it comes to everyday transactions, especially among younger generations, there's one app that's really taken over: Venmo.
Yeah, Venmo seems to be everywhere these days. I'd even paid my rent with it. What makes it so popular?
Well, for starters, it's incredibly user-friendly,
Okay.
and it's focused on peer-to-peer transactions. Making it really easy to split bills with friends or send money to family or even pay for small services. But one of the most unique things about it is the social aspect.
Social aspect. You mean like posting selfies with your latte?
Not quite. Venmo has this feed where you can actually see your friends' transactions. Don't worry, you can't see the amounts. But it adds this fun social element to paying and getting paid.
Huh. Interesting. Doesn't that raise some privacy concerns, though?
It definitely does, and that's something we'll talk about more later on. It's always a balance between convenience and features, and then those potential drawbacks like privacy and security.
Right. A lot to consider. Well, we've covered a lot of ground here, from the techie inner workings of mobile payments to these big names that are all vying for a spot in our digital wallets. But what does this all mean for us as users?
Okay.
What are the real-world implications of this financial revolution?
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? And the Blog Widow article really dives into both, the good and the bad, the bright side, and the potential problems with this whole shift toward a cashless society.
So let's start with the good stuff. What are some of the biggest advantages of going mobile with our payments?
Well, first of all, think about how much time you spend just like digging around for your wallet or
Mhm.
counting out cash or waiting for the chip reader to process.
Right.
Mobile payments, they just get rid of all of that.
Yeah.
Transactions are super fast and efficient, and in our busy world, that's a huge plus.
Yeah, no more digging for change at the bottom of my bag. I'm already sold. But isn't it risky, having all your financial info stored on your phone?
Yeah.
What if you lose it? Or it
Yeah.
gets stolen?
I get it. It's a valid concern. But actually, mobile payments can be more secure than the traditional ways.
Really?
Remember that tokenization we were talking about?
Yeah.
When you combine that with things like biometrics,
Mhm.
fingerprint scanning, facial recognition, it creates a really strong barrier against unauthorized access.
So it's like having a high-tech vault for my money, guarded by my fingerprint or my face.
Exactly. And even if you do lose your phone, you can just remotely disable your digital wallet. No one can use your payment information. Try doing that with a lost wallet.
Good point. The article also mentions enhanced security as a major plus. Can you elaborate on that a bit? How are mobile payments actually safer?
Well, think about it. With traditional cards, every time you swipe or insert it, your actual card number is right there,
Right.
exposed. That info can be stolen, it can be copied, leads to fraudulent charges. But with tokenization, like we said, only that temporary code, that unique code, is transmitted. Your sensitive data stays protected.
So even if a hacker managed to intercept that information, they wouldn't get my actual card number.
Nope. That's the beauty of tokenization.
Right.
It's like a shield for your information.
That definitely eases my mind a bit. But what about, when technology fails? What if your phone dies or you're in an area with no signal?
Yeah, that's one of the potential downsides. It does make you more reliant on technology. If your phone dies, you could be stuck.
Right.
If you're somewhere with bad internet, some mobile payments might not work.
So it's good to have a backup just in case, maybe a physical card or some cash for those situations.
Exactly. Always good to be prepared and have options. Another potential issue is that not everywhere takes mobile payments.
Yeah, I've run into that a few times, trying to pay with my phone at a coffee shop and just getting blank stares. Why are some businesses hesitant to make the switch?
Well, there are a few reasons. Some businesses, smaller ones especially, might be worried about the cost of new equipment, to accept NFC or QR codes. Others might just not be familiar with the technology or they're used to how they've always done things.
So it's a matter of awareness and education?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
As more people use mobile payments, I think we'll see more businesses adopting them. But there's another big concern that we can't ignore: data privacy.
That's a big one. We're basically handing over all of our financial info to these big tech companies. How do we know they're handling our data responsibly?
It's a crucial question.
Hmm.
It's important to choose companies that have a good reputation, companies with strong security measures in place,
Hmm.
and read their privacy policies. Really understand how your data is being used and protected.
So it's kind of like choosing a bank. You want one that you trust.
Exactly. And remember, you can always say no to sharing certain data if you're not comfortable. It's your data. You have the right to control it.
Okay, so we've covered the convenience, the security, the potential downsides, and the privacy issues. Anything else we should be thinking about as we move toward a more mobile payment world?
I think it's important to remember that the technology is always changing.
Right.
What seems cutting edge today might be old news tomorrow. So you got to stay informed, keep up with new trends and potential risks.
Yeah, that's good advice for navigating, the digital world in general.
The article also briefly mentioned future trends in mobile payments. Any predictions you want to share? Where do you see all of this heading?
Oh, I think we're just getting started with what mobile payments can do. One area that's really taking off is wearable technology.
Oh, like paying for your groceries with your smartwatch?
Yeah, exactly. We're already seeing smartwatches and fitness trackers with NFC capabilities, making things even more seamless.
Imagine a world where you could buy a coffee with just a tap of your wrist.
That does sound futuristic. But it makes me think, what about people who can't afford those fancy gadgets? Or who don't have reliable internet access? Could this create a bigger gap between, the haves and have-nots?
That's a really important point.
Hmm.
And it shows that we need to be smart about innovation. As we get all excited about these advancements, we can't forget about making sure that everyone benefits.
So it's not just about the technology itself, it's about how we use it to make things fairer for everyone.
Exactly. The future of mobile payments is not just about convenience and cool gadgets. It's about making sure people and communities can thrive in an increasingly digital world.
Well said. We've covered a lot of ground today, from the technical stuff to the bigger picture of what this all means for society. Before we wrap things up, any final thoughts you'd like to leave our listeners with?
Yeah, it's been pretty amazing to see how just the simple act of paying for something can lead to so many bigger questions.
It really has. So for our listeners who might be feeling a little overwhelmed with all this info, what's the one thing you want them to take away from all of this?
I think the most important thing is to be excited about mobile payments, but also to think critically. Enjoy the convenience, appreciate the innovation, but don't just jump in without considering the downsides.
So don't just follow the hype, do your research, and figure out what works best for you.
Exactly. And this technology is always changing, right?
Right.
So stay informed about what's new and be ready to adapt.
So it's not just about picking one way to pay and sticking with it forever.
Yep.
It's about, staying informed and making smart decisions.
That's right. The future of finance is always changing, and mobile payments are a big part of that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Mobile payments are just one tool, and we have to use them wisely.
Absolutely. And as we navigate this new world of finance, it's important to keep the big picture in mind. How can we use technology to make the world fairer and more inclusive for everyone?
Well said. It's been great having you on to talk about all things mobile payments. Any final words of wisdom before we sign off?
As you explore all the different ways to pay, remember it's not just about convenience. It's about security, it's about privacy, and it's about how this could change our whole relationship with money. Stay curious, stay informed, and most importantly, stay empowered.
I love that. Thanks again for joining us for this deep dive into mobile payments. Until next time, happy paying.